Colts lost to Tennessee last week, 2016. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, with first-year coach Doug Marrone, lost at Arizona 27-24 in a last-second 57-yard field goal. But, boy, he's done a wonderful job, Rich, with his Jacksonville team.
He, along with Tom Coughlin, they've changed the culture and the environment. You look at Chuck Pagano. Kennedy told us last night that this is new waters for them. This is not a situation that they've been in since he's been in Indianapolis, a team that has struggled to kind of find their way at 3-8.
We've had the flip of the coin. Jaguars won the toss. They have deferred. Colts will receive. Josh Lambo will be kicking off for Jacksonville. And deep back will be the second year back out of Illinois, Josh Ferguson. 27-zip was the first meeting in early October with Jacksonville beating the Colts. Let's see what happens in the final meeting this season, and away we go. And Ferguson will leave it in the end zone. Touchback will be out to the 25 with a 1st and 10. There's a look at Jacoby Brissett. Hit 20 times, Rich, the last time these two teams met.
Yeah, that can't happen. It's important to get him off to a good start. We know he's got the arm strength to make all the required throws in this offense, and I think the ability to extend plays with his legs. What's hurt him, though, is he's got a tendency to take a couple extra hitches and hold the ball at times, usually resulting in a sack. 43 times already this season, which is the most in football. The ball's got to be able to come out on time against this Jacksonville defense.
Couple tight ends, 1st and 10. And this is Gore with a good block and a tackle made by Jackson down low with a gain of 3 out to the 28. All right, the left side of the line has started every game this season. Center Ryan Kelly is concussed and out. Mike Person will be starting at center today. Running back Frank Gore remains vital even at 34, a 1,000-yard rusher a season ago. The tight end Doyle is the Colts' leading receiver. It's 2nd down and 7. Grab by Hilton, block by Doyle. Forced out of bounds by Ramsey, playing with a bad ankle today. Out to the 32, picks up 4. The Jaguar defense, Campbell and Ngakoue have combined for the most sacks for a defensive line tandem in the NFL. One of the best linebackers in the league, Telvin Smith, out today, concussed. Rookie Blair Brown makes his first NFL start. The best cornerback duo, Rich just said it, in the league, consisting of Ramsey and A.J. Boye, a big-time free agent from Houston. 3rd down and 2. Gore remains out on a route, caught. That is a 1st down. Moncrief with a quick slant, grabbed on the play by Boye. 8-yard pickup on 3rd and 2, 1st down Colts.
A good-looking protection and a nice route by Moncrief, working on A.J. Boye. Man-to-man coverage, patient at the top of the stem. Does a nice job crossing his face and giving Jacoby Brissett a chance to make a good, accurate throw on 3rd down.
Moncrief last week just had 1 reception against Tennessee. 22nd catch right there of the season, 1st and 10. With the opening drive, this is Brissett. Can run with the best of them. Brought down Kozlowski coming through. He's led the team in tackles 5 of the last 6 years. No gain on the play, Rich. They stay at the 41.
It's a great looking defense. Number 1 for a reason in so many different categories. I think their continuity with their players and scheme has really helped you. And look at them, they've been much better, not just in terms of the pass defense, but the run defense as well. You see Paz taking on the tight end, Jack Doyle there. Doyle not in there to block anyone, he's in there to run routes, but you look at them, they've played together all season. This is the first game this season that they haven't had all 11 starters on the field.
2nd down and 10, Gore bumping into his own blocker. There's Kozlowski again with the initial hit and a gain of 3 and out to the 44. Gore is nearing some big-time milestones as a back. He could pass Jerome Bettis and LaDainian Tomlinson today on the ground all time.
Yeah, just started the game 49 yards shy of sole possession of 5th place all-time on the rushing chart. And you look at those names ahead of him, Kevin. Emmett Smith, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, Curtis Martin.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
Isn't that amazing? Huh? Thinking those are the legends of the game.
Yeah, and at 34 years of age, he's still grinding out the tough yardage between the tackles.
In the nickel, 3rd and 7. Good a block at the right tackle. Almost picked off. It's incomplete. Ramsey just about got it. They were going outside for Hilton. It's 4th and 7. Here comes the punting unit for the Colts on their first possession.
Well, this is going to be a great matchup to watch. Jalen Ramsey up top here against T.Y. Hilton. And you have to see throws when you throw in the direction of Jalen Ramsey. He's just going to sit on this route. Very fortunate that one wasn't picked off. He's one of the best covered corners in the game. Can play press, can play from off. It's a great job staring down the eyes of Jacoby Brissett.
Here's the terrific rookie out of Hawaii, Rigoberto Sanchez. And deep back is Mickens. And it's going to be into the end zone with the touchback right there. Only his second touchback of the season. 56-yard punt. Here come the Jaguars. Their defense has already made a stand on CBS. Fourth-year quarterback Blake Bortles, Rich Gannon, threw for 330 over the Colts in the first meeting with them earlier this season.
I thought it was his best game ever as a Jacksonville Jaguar. Kevin, and his numbers in his last 5 games against the Colts, 8 touchdowns. And here's the key number, 0 interceptions.
After the punt, 1st and 10. Then they go outside here. This is the rookie, D.D. Westbrook, out of Oklahoma. Shoved out of bounds across the way by Desir, and it's an 8-yard pickup. Let's go to the offensive line. Jeremy Purnell returns after missing the past 2 games with an injury. Omame returns as well. Those are big additions. Omame is out today. That was a late scratch. Leonard Fournette has a full week of practice for the first time in 3 weeks. He's had ankle issues, Rich. Hadn't practiced full time since the first week in November. But he did all week long, and there's a fake to him on 2nd down and 2, and on the move, Bortles. And he's got the completion to Marquise Lee. Covered on the play by Farley. Pickup of 12. That is a first down that put him at the 45. Let's talk about the defensive line, because Hankins and Woods are new to the defensive line for the Colts. They have been steady all season long. Linebacker Jabal Sheard in the top 5 in the league in quarterback pressures. And the best cornerback on this team, Rashaan Melvin, out with a hand and wrist injury, replaced by rookie free agent Kenny Moore, although they tell us they're going to do it by committee today. We talked to Chuck Pagano last night, and that's what he told us. Here's a 1st and 10 Fournette run. And he slips a little bit. Not much room right there. Hit by T.J. Green, thrown for a 1-yard loss back to the 45.
Well, they've got to be able to stop the run. The Colts defensively, that's the key to it. Force Blake Bortles to have to throw the ball a bunch. I mean, you look at this offense, they're number 1 in rushing for a reason, just 29th in passing. And I'm anticipating you see a lot of 8-man front football. The safeties down around the line of scrimmage trying to take away the running game.
Hairston's the nickel, 2nd down, 11. Fournette. And wrapped up as he was slithering through. Jeremiah George is the one to get him. It's a gain of 8 by Leonard Fournette. Over 700 yards on the season.
The thing I like about Fournette, extremely deliberate once he gets the ball in his hands. I mean, he's heading downhill in a hurry. And as a result, there's not a lot of negative runs when you study the tape. And if it's not clean, he's just going to lower his head and smash it up in there.
And he's healthy, Rich. Like I was talking about, that ankle now seems to be almost fully, completely healed.
He's had a great week of preparation and practice. He's ready to go.
And short left, down. 380. 380.
Oops. That's Lee.
False start. Offense number 11. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Now 3rd down and 8 for the Jaguars. Here is the up and down season. It began so well for Fournette.
Yeah, look, you got off to a great start and struggled a little bit to find his way. He had the injury, and of course he's struggling here a little bit as of late. Go back week 11, had a nice 100-yard game, but everyone knows about Leonard Fournette now. They're going to crowd the line of scrimmage and try and make it difficult on him.
That's going to wobble incomplete. He took a big hit with the coverage there by Moore. The pass outside, they were looking for Lee, who made it 3rd and 8 as he had the false start. And here comes the punting unit. Incomplete pass right there by Bortles.
Well, you're going to see the pressure come late from the safety, Farley, and Bortles wanted to take an extra hit. He just didn't have the time.
Chester Rogers is deep back for the Indianapolis Colts to punt. Brad Nortman after the 3 and out. It's a fake. He's got the wide open O'Shaughnessy. Look at him go. 1st down and then some. Brought down by Morrison. The pass by Brad Nortman, who's a 6-year veteran. 30-yard completion down to the 22 of the Colts. The drive continues for Jacksonville.
And we saw this on practice on Friday. You're going to look at O'Shaughnessy. He's the end man on the line of scrimmage. He's going to block out, and then once he sets the angle on the end man on the line of scrimmage, he just turns him loose, and he's just going to run a little inside look route. It's a great design by special teams coordinator Joe DeCamillis. Great execution. As I said, we saw this on Friday at practice.
1st and 10. Fournette back there, and they go right here, and it's caught by Cole. And Farley makes the stop after a gain of 9.
This isn't the first time they've had the fake punt. They've had a couple of this one against the Ravens when they had a big lead. Again, another one against the Colts. And of course, they've done a terrific job under Joe DeCamillis. One of the best, certainly one of the best special teams coordinators in the league when it comes to fakes.
Easy. Hey, Wembley,
What's that mean when he says easy, Rich? At the line.
He's going to change the play. He just wants to tell the offensive line to sit in there, hang tight.
2nd and 1, Fournette. And finally grabbed on the play by Jonathan Hankins after a gain of 2 to the 11 with a first down. The drive continues with a fake punt and a 30-yard pass from the punter to O'Shaughnessy, the tight end.
Another good red zone offense, and a big reason why is they have the ability to run it. You take Fournette out of the game, you bring in Chris Ivory's a similar type of back. Kind of a downhill power runner between the tackles.
The limping Fournette. Here comes Ivory, who fumbled last week. He has really been struggling running the ball. 1st and 10. Bortles, he ran for 2 touchdowns last week in Arizona. There's a hit, and it was a big one by Farley. There is no yellow. He gets down to about the 4 on a scramble of 6 for Blake Bortles. Again, the 2 rushing touchdowns a week ago in Arizona.
You're right, Kevin. He can and he will run. He has the ability to do that, to extend plays with his legs. That one was close. He got hit right on the boundary by the safety, Farley.
So Ivory is in. Ivory has only had 8 carries the last 3 games.
You know, they made the change. They brought Fournette back in.
They sure did. Yet the last second, you're exactly right. Wasn't even in the huddle. 2nd and 4.
He's still trying to get the play from Blake Bortles.
Right, 10th play of the drive. Bortles, and incomplete, looking for Westbrook. Coverage in the play by Farley. Desir was over there as well.
Just misses the throw. If you really study Blake Bortles, at times his footwork can be an issue. When he doesn't have a solid foundation with both feet underneath him, he has a tendency to miss throws.
Inconsistent passing game. They've had some drops here, certainly, Rich. We've talked about that. This offense tries to find its footing.
Hey, Ricky, down.
3rd and 4.
380.
Robbins in the block at the left tackle. Touchdown, Marquise Lee. A 4-yard strike, and he beats Nate Hairston, the rookie out of Temple, in the back of the end zone.
Well, if you play this team, you've got to be able to defend the crossing routes. It's just a drive combination with the tight end Lewis and the wide receiver Marquise Lee. And Blake Bortles does a nice job sliding to his left, buying some time, allowing Marquise Lee to work across the field and beat the safety and corners. And you've got to be able to defend the unders and the crossing routes. The Jacksonville Jaguars run a ton of them in that part of the field.
Bortles gets his 13th touchdown pass of the season. Here's the extra point by Lambeau. Nortman, the punter, will hold. It's 7-0 Jacksonville. The fake punt was terrific. O'Shaughnessy, the tight end, with the catch. And then Bortles to lead for 6:18 first quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Walmart. Rock this Christmas with Walmart. And by the 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
St. John's River right outside the stadium. Couple of wave runners with a look from high above Jacksonville on this 70-degree day with no chance of rain. The ensuing kickoff after the 4-yard touchdown pass taken by Josh Ferguson. And he's out to about the 22 and hit by a couple, including Smoot, with a 20-yard return.
Let's take a look at the scouting report for the Colts offense. I think it's their ability to create explosive plays in the passing game, which is their strength. The weakness is the offensive line play. They've given up a league-high 47 sacks so far this season. You look at the strength of that Jacksonville defense, without question, they're stingy. They have the #1 scoring defense in football. They're only giving up 15.3 points per game. And there's a weakness. It's probably the run defense. They're just 19th against the run. Although I'll tell you, since they got Marcel Darius in Week 8, they have been much better stopping the run.
Goron first down, wrapped up by Abry Jones. Gain of 4, Rich, out to the 26.
You look at this run defense and Marcel Darius, Kevin, think about this. He's a #1 draft pick, and he doesn't even start for Jacksonville. Dante Fowler, #1 draft pick. He's not even starting. But look at the difference in the first 7 weeks of the season without Marcel Darius, and then the last, obviously, 5 weeks with him. And that's a significant improvement.
Colvin is the extra defensive back on 2nd down and 6. And Gibson is there to get him around the waist with a gain of 5 to the 32 and close to a Colt first down.
Now, there's going to be some tough runs, but they've got to be able to lean on the running game. Last week, you look at Arizona, they were determined to run the ball against this Jacksonville defense, and they weren't willing to put the ball in Blaine Gabbert's hands any more than they had to. I don't think the Colts want to do that either with an inexperienced quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. In order for them to win, I think Frank Gore needs to have a huge day against this Jacksonville defense.
They're going to measure, as you can obviously see. Bill Vinovich is our official today, heading up this crew, shy by about the length of a football. So they'll get another try. We talked to Chuck Pagano last night. Even more interestingly, we talked to Jacoby Brissett, who comes from that New England program where he played under Tom Brady.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He said he still has weekly conversations with Brady. And I said, what's the one thing you learned from Tom Brady in your short time in New England? He said, the preparation never ends with Tom Brady.
Yeah, I like that.
He said it's right up until Saturday morning is still making changes. Even sometimes on the sidelines during the game, he'll grab receivers and make subtle changes to the signals. It's amazing that they can make those changes so late in the week.
He's been good holding on to the ball too, Rich. Just 5 interceptions on 325 passes this year.
It's amazing. He's done a terrific job, kid. When you consider the amount of times this kid's been knocked around and sacked so far this season.
It's Goron 3rd and 1. Pyle drives his way. Lead block there by Haig. A pickup of 4. He's out to the 35. Jack and Jackson are there. It is a first down for the Colts, who have lost 2 straight and 5 of 6 coming into today.
The other thing they have to be able to do, I think, is win in the middle of the field. When we talked about the strength of this secondary for Jacksonville, it's the corner play. They've got 2 terrific corners in A.J. Boye and Jalen Ramsey. I think you've got to be able to win inside with Jack Doyle and the running backs against these linebackers and safeties.
Marlon Mack is in as a running back. 1st and 10.
120. That's right.
Take to Mack. Some good time here. But look out, here comes Jackson. 6th sack of the season. No team sacks more quarterbacks in the NFL than the Jaguars. Back with a loss of 6 to the 28.
Well, it's just a 2-man route, and what happens is it takes a while. And you look at this is a coverage sack. I mean, you just look at the corners. Go ahead and freeze it right there. Where are you going to throw the football? There's a double there with a help over the top. There's a double here with help here. There's nowhere to throw the football if you're Jacoby Brissett. And that's why you give up a sack to Malik Jackson.
That's a 42nd sack by this defense, like we said, #1. 2nd down, 16. Mack remains, helps good with the block, and incomplete to Doyle with the coverage on the play by the veteran to Sean Gibson. 3rd and 16. Another hit on Brissett.
Well, he's got a tendency to hold the football a little bit. We know that. And, you look at the number of times he's been sacked. The offensive line has to play better. You look at that Jacksonville defense. I mean, they've had some incredible games. 10 sacks against Jacoby Brissett the last time these 2 teams met. And we talked about the time clock. He's got to play faster. You can't stare down the primary receiver. He's got to be able to work through the progressions. And if it's not there, sometimes the best play, the only play, is to throw the ball away and live for another down.
Into the nickel, 3rd and 16. Mack remains. Hold on. He got away from Jackson. Ngakoue can't get him, but I'll tell you who does. Calais Campbell, 12th sack of the season, number 3 in the NFL. Worth every penny so far of that $60 million contract he signed, a loss of 10. Here comes the punting unit. The last time these two teams met, Brissett, Rich, was hit 20 times.
Well, this is why, Kevin. You can't hold the ball this long. I mean, you can't ask the offensive line to hold up for 6-7 seconds. I mean, it's just a very similar play to what we just saw. Sometimes you got to be able to throw the ball away and live for another down.
Here comes Sanchez, who punts once again for the Colts. Mickens, who returned a punt for a touchdown against Cincinnati back in early November. Fair caught, 32-yard line, 48-yard punt. Colts have had it twice with 2 punts. A couple of sacks by this terrific #1 defense in the NFL. Campbell just had that sack, 12.5 on the year. He breaks the tie he had with Tony Brackens back in 1999. Brackens set that Jacksonville record, Rich.
Maybe the best money spent in free agency. The best $60 million this organization has ever spent, Kevin. Not just for the impact he's had on the field, but off the field as well. He's been great with the young players in that locker room.
That's a great point. Bortles on 1st and 10. Look at that great catch made by Lee. Brought down on the play by Antonio Morrison. 22-yard pickup to the 47-yard line.
Well, not a very good throw, but an incredible catch by Marquise Lee. Look at the concentration. He's going to get hit as he's going to the ground. He has the ability just to kind of hold on. Loses his helmet, but he's not going to let go of that football. That is an incredible catch by Lee.
Isn't that something else? All the drops, we have an injured player on the field. It is a Jaguar as they take a look at the left ankle. So an injury timeout in 2:39 on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Macy's. And by FedEx. Sign up for FedEx Delivery Manager.
Some terrific young kids, Jacksonville area honor roll students. They got the grades, they got the free ticket to come to a game. Big honor for all those kids. A lot of them actually came and took a tour of our truck with our producer and our director, Jonathan Siegel. There's a new center. Tyler Shatley is in, taking the place of the injured Brandon Linder. Shatley has started 4 games at center this season. 1st and 10 after the 22-yard pass to Lee and the injury timeout, and that's wide and incomplete for Lewis, who they do not throw to that often. He only has 15 catches on the season. Bostic with the coverage on the play. Yep. And Thursday, it's an NFC South showdown. New Orleans will take on Atlanta. Thursday night football on NFL Network, NBC, and streaming live on Amazon Prime Video. 2nd down and 10. Nickel secondary for the Colts. Their defense comes in number 29. 32nd in points allowed. Bortles, here comes Hankins. Acrobatic catch. Leonard Fournette into the secondary. Brought down by Moore. Catch and run 17. Flag on the play.
They're going to get a hold. Very good screen team. You study this Jacksonville offense. They've got a bunch of different ones with the running backs, tight ends, receivers.
Pass interference. Offense number 12. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
D.D. Westbrook will pick it up. The rookie just activated a couple of weeks ago after the abdominal surgery.
They're going to get him in position. No, you can't. You got to let go. You got to let go.
How many times have I said that? You've just got to let go.
Can't grab and hold.
Cannot grab and hold.
Especially with the back like Leonard Fournette, who's so dangerous once he gets out in the open field up on that 2nd level. As I said, they don't discriminate with their screen game. They're got an athletic interior of that offensive line that can get out in front of the ball carrier.
Linder is back in as the center. Shatley is out after that play. He was taking his place. 2nd down and 20 with the penalty in tow to the 43.
11 right. Hey, lucky. Sunday. Done.
Robinson, the block, sidearm delivery, caught by Lee. His favorite target today. Desir makes the stop. 7-yard pick up the midfield, Rich.
You look at this offense, and they're without one of their top receivers in Allen Hurns, and Marquise Lee is kind of Blake Bortles' go-to guy in critical situations, especially on 3rd down.
Yeah, they are missing some good ones on offense, aren't they? They were constantly trying to fill in the loss of Hearns, who's out with an ankle. They lost Allen Robinson with an ACL. Hearns is missed with that ankle last 3 games. 3rd down and 13.
This is an area where they've struggled 3rd and long. They failed their last 14 attempts in 3rd and 10 plus.
Into the nickel. Bortles moves up nicely. He's got an open receiver, D.D. Westbrook. Whacked by Butler. They take it down to the 28-yard line of the Colts. That is a 22-yard pickup on 3rd and 13.
Well, we talk about the importance of protection and having a nice solid cup in the A gaps and the B gaps. And watch Blake Bortles step up inside, buy himself some extra time, and find a wide open D.D. Westbrook down the field. Good look at the eyes of Blake Bortles.
Got that tongue sticking out there too, like Michael.
And what did Doug Marrone tell us on Friday? He said when he steps up in the pocket, he knows he's comfortable and he's trusting the protection.
Fake to Fournette. Tight end with the block. Outside they go. Lee working on Desir. Did not catch it. Must have been bobbling the ball. It is incomplete.
Good looking throw here from Blake Bortles, and
just good defense. Huh?
Really
just good defense. Yeah.
Almost an interception if there was a little bit more room on the boundary for Desir.
In fact, it's so good it may be a pick.
No, it's slow. It was moving, but I think it's the right call. I think that'd be a waste of a challenge flag.
It's not been thrown yet by Pagano. He said, Rich, we got to stay on schedule. And right now, they're behind. 2nd down and 10. Leonard Fournette. Good block by Lee. Also got a Koyak block. The tight end is near the 20-yard line, 21-yard line. 7-yard pickup. Hit by Hunt. Not out of bounds he goes.
The last game, Leonard Fournette didn't even play against the Colts. T.J.
Right.
Yeldon had the big day rushing. He had 122 yards on 9 carries. And the Jacksonville Jaguars rushed for 188 yards. They had over 500 yards of offense in Week 7.
4-yard touchdown pass by Bortles to Lee. 7-zip Jaguars. Let's go to the second on CBS.
That's the end of the first quarter.
Colts on the verge of elimination. A loss and they're gone. At 3-8 they come in, and here come the Jaguars, losing last week. Rich, they have not lost 2 in a row all season. They have won 4 of 5. In first place in a tie with Tennessee. 3rd and 3 starting the second. Westbrook outside. Desir is there. Got him up high, but the catch and run put him at the 15. Pickup of 6 on 3rd and 3. A Jaguar first down.
Old staple throw, the sprint right option. They move the pocket for Blake Bortles. Makes a good, accurate throw to his right to D.D. Westbrook for the first down.
We have an injured player across the way. That is Pierre Desir. Originally a Cleveland Brown, starting at the right cornerback for the 4th consecutive game, replacing Vontae Davis.
Well, they can't afford to lose any more corners. They're without Melvin today. Desir's on the ground. They've got a couple of rookies behind them. Actually, 3 rookies, and Kenny Moore and Quincy Wilson and Nate Hairston.
Well, they've lost players all over the place, haven't they? They lost Mewhort on the offensive line. He's gone. Anderson is a lineman on the defense for the Colts. So there's an injury timeout, and we will step aside 4 seconds into the second quarter. Desir is out. They've replaced him with the rookie Wilson, who has not taken a snap, Rich, since week 2. He's had a knee issue.
And Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator, Kevin, of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is very aware of that. It'd be surprised if they don't take a shot in his direction during this series.
1st and 10, 8th play of the drive. Fournette into a thicket on the middle of the line, with a gain in there of about 3. Woods, Hankins, all combined on the stop. Looks like Mangus Hutton got there. So Quincy Wilson is the 2nd-round pick out of Florida. He is a rookie. He started week 2 against Arizona, the replacement for Desir. But Rich, because of the knee and just he hasn't gotten a chance to play, has not taken a snap until that one right there since week 2 of the season. My goodness.
He's a bigger corner, Kevin, with the long arms that can really thrive when he gets his hands on you at the line of scrimmage.
2nd down, 7. Bortles looking that direction, knocked away beautifully on the play. Knocked away by Basham, who came around the edge. First sack, losing 8, back to the 21.
You look at Basham, just going to work along that right side of that offensive line on Parnell, who missed last week with an injury. Bortles not able to step up that time and protect the ball.
Basham is a rookie out of Ohio, and his second sack of the season right there. His first one, Week 8 against Cincinnati. 3rd and 16. They're looking at Wilson. The Bortles goes the other way. Mercedes Lewis. He was brought down on the play by Jeremiah George. It is a gain of 8 on 3rd and 16, shy of the first, and they're going to bring in the field goal unit. So the defense of the Colts holds him out of the end zone.
Well, the sack by Basham, that gets it done. It's a good sequence for the Colts and Chuck Pagano. Able to get off the field and hold them to a field goal in this part of the field. And look at this formation. As you look at them get lined up pre-snap, and then they shift in, and I'm sure they've got a fake off of that as well.
Josh Lambo, who replaced Jason Myers, will be trying a 31-yard field goal. He is 10 of 11. He is 11 of 12. A 31-yarder right there, and the Jaguars extend their lead early in the second quarter. We'll be back to Jacksonville in 30 seconds after this. Well, they've scored the first 2 times they've had the ball. The Jaguars have. They scored the first 4 times they had it the first time they met in that 27-0 win.
Well, this is getting to be a critical situation in the game for the Colts. We talked to Chuck Pagano last night. They're not good enough to play from behind with the young quarterback. It's a critical possession for the Colts on offense, who have just 16 yards of offense through the first half.
With the kickoff is Lambo, and Ferguson's going to come up and on the fly from about the 9 for Indianapolis. And brought down to the play by Peyton Thompson. He is a reserve defensive back, 14-yard return. Players are supporting charitable causes important to them today through cleats that are custom designed and inspired by their causes. Discover the stories behind the cleats and bid on select players' special edition cleats at NFL.com/mycausemycleats. A lot of imagination, all for a good cause and sending a message. 1st and 10. With Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan in Jacksonville. The first place Jaguars, here comes Gore. Brought down by the rookie Blair Brown out of Ohio, replaces Telvin Smith. Brown's first NFL start. That is a gain of 4 to the 26.
And how good has this Jacksonville defense been early in games? They've not allowed an opening drive touchdown in their last 19 games. That's the longest streak in the league. And they've not allowed a first quarter touchdown in the last 6 games.
Jacksonville is the only team in the NFL that ranks in the top 5 in point differential, turnover difference, yardage differential, sack differential. They're incredible. Gore on 2nd down and 6. Running for a first down into the secondary. Upended by Tashawn Gibson. 11-yard gain. We're always upended by James Brown and Boomer Esiason.
Hazards with a quarterback sneak?
Yeah, I think Rich Gannon can attest to this. You get hit in the back all the time. Josh McCown goes in 1 yard out and actually tied the Chiefs after the Chiefs got out to a 14-0 lead. 14-14 Jets Chiefs. Back to you, Kevin and Rich.
And of course the Chiefs losing to the Giants, Rich.
Amazing. Chiefs in a free fall right now. I think they've lost 5 of the last 6. This is a critical game for them on the road.
Gore may have fumbled the ball as they're digging it out. He has not fumbled this season and lost one as they try to dig it out. Remember now, this takeaway group of Jacksonville's defense, they've got 25 takeaways, number 2 in the NFL. Ooh, and some bad words with a flag thrown.
Get a little chippy down there.
Yes, they are. When you play in the division, I guess that's happening all the time with these teams that see each other twice a year. Especially in a frustrating season that the Colts have had at 3-8. They've blown some second half double-digit leads, which has been concerning. In their 3rd consecutive non-winning season, perhaps, if they lose today, for Coach Chuck Pagano, who is in his 6th season as the Colts head coach.
He was confident last night when we visited with them. They felt like they've had a good week of practice. Players continuing to work hard and believe.
By both teams. Personal foul. Offense number 85. Personal foul. Defense number 56. Penalties offset. 2nd down.
So Fowler was in there on one side. Brandon Williams, the tight end for the Colts, on the other. The former Seahawk. Bill Vinovich does not take any nonsense, does he, huh?
No, he calls the game pretty tight to the vest.
He does. He's
as
a good
he
one.
should.
4 members of this crew, Rich, have officiated at least 1 Super Bowl, so it's decorated and recognized. Marlon Mack is the running back. 2nd and 8.
Right 20. Good.
Jet sweep, Chester Rogers. From behind, Posluszny. Every year, every game, he continues to produce a loss of 2. They go back to the 37.
Well, he's just got a nose for the football. He's such an instinctive player. You look at Posluszny. Once he recognizes this jet sweep, he is flying to his left. Look, see, he's already moving over there. He sees it coming.
Man.
That's why he makes so many tackles at or around the line of scrimmage.
Reads so well, doesn't he, Rich?
He does a great job in his preparation during the week, studying formations and motions and alignments.
Mack is the running back, 5 in the secondary, 3rd and 10. Off the edge they come, Mack the block. Chester Rogers, shy of the first, flag is thrown. Brought down by Miles Jack, gain of 4 as it stands now to the 41.
And he knows it.
Yeah.
Got a hold of that face mask.
Personal foul. Defense number 44. Horse collar tackle. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
He just couldn't let go. I think he had one a couple weeks ago. I was watching a game a couple weeks ago. I think he had one. I get so confused. Kevin, we watched so much tape during the week. I'm trying to figure out if it was against Cleveland.
May have been in the Cleveland game. And going back to
it was a game in
the last
Cleveland.
3, yeah.
Similar type play where he was reaching, trying to make the tackle.
You're amazing. How do you know this stuff? I mean, like, I'm looking at you right now. You're an ordinary man. How do you know this stuff?
I get confused sometimes on which game it was. It certainly wasn't last week against Arizona. I think it was 2 weeks ago against the Browns.
Mack remains 1st and 10.
Right 20. Good.
Base defense. Mack.
Oh,
he slithers through. The native of Sarasota takes it down inside the 20. Church is there. Jack is there. And the rookie out of South Florida, 4th-round pick, Marlon Mack. He flies for 25 and a first down.
It's a great looking run. He's going to follow Doyle initially. But then what happens is he starts inside. He pauses just for a split second. You see the linebacker step up inside. And then he's off to the races.
Put him to the 18-yard line. Nice block, too, by Kamara. Can you see that, Rich? Downfield blocking.
Good-looking block. They've got to be able to run the ball against this Jacksonville defense and stay in normal down and distance type situations. They don't want this young quarterback in a lot of 3rd and longs.
Gore in, 1st and 10 with the run right there. Campbell and others. Posluszny bringing him down. Gain of 3. That means Gore's got 39 yards. He's already passed Jerome Bettis for number 6 all-time rushing, and he's just a couple yards shy of going to number 5. Think of this, all-time in pro football history. He's going to become the number 5 rusher if he gets 49 yards today. Right now he's at 39.
And he's well aware of it, and certainly that offensive line in front of him is well aware of what he needs to get that record.
2nd down and 7.
Right 20. Good.
Gore. His career began here in a game with the Niners against these Jaguars. Darius makes the stop. It is a gain of 3, and he's down to about the 12.
Kevin, you mentioned he's 34 years old, but he still has that strong lower body. He runs with his pads over his toes and low to the ground. He's not a guy you can arm tackle. Maybe he lacks that long finish speed, but he does finish runs well inside the tackles.
Is that your graphic right there, plus 16 in the 2nd quarter of the season?
Yeah, look at that. It's amazing, right?
Yeah. For whatever reason, they thrive. 3rd and 4. Jacoby Brissett. Costanza the block on the move and brought down by Ngakoue from behind as he crossed the 10 and picks up 3 on 3rd and 4. Rich, 4th and 1. What would you do?
Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm 3 and 8, I'm going to go for it.
Yep.
I mean, listen, you've come this far, and this is one of those games, Kevin. You say, well, why not kick the field goal right here? Look, I think your defense is going to have a tough time stopping Jacksonville all day, and I just think that each possession is critical.
They're 0 for 6, as you see on that fourth down conversion graphic. They bring in Adam Vinatieri, 44-year-old Adam Vinatieri. He'll try a 27-yard field goal. He's only missed one all season. To get on the board, shutout is gone. 3 up there for Indy. 27-yarder by Vinatieri. The big play, a run by rookie Marlon Mack. 7:02 in the second quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. Lowe's, hurry in today for huge savings on all things winter. And by Pepsi, welcoming you to the fun doesn't end zone.
Mayport Navy Base. We saw that ship there in the very beginning of those commercial announcements right there. That was built in Marinette, Wisconsin. So the Colts are on the board. Vinatieri knocks it in from 27. Mack got him in range with a 25-yard run. And they score 3 and make it a 7-point game. The ensuing kickoff is away. It will be left in the end zone with the ever dangerous Corey Grant. Saturday, for the first time in 21 years, Army looks to capture the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. If they can once again beat Navy, the 118th Army-Navy game. Coverage begins with college football today at 2:30 Eastern on CBS. I just saw where Ohio State is out of the top 4 and Alabama is in.
How about that, huh?
How about that is right.
Big win last night.
1st and 10 after the Vinatieri field goal. It's Fournette, who was brought down from behind by Green. Rich, in the first 8 games of the season, they were averaging about 140 on the ground. They have missed that mark now 3 consecutive games. What has happened to the running game of Jacksonville?
Well, I think part of it, Kevin, is the success that they have had with Leonard Fournette. So teams are committing to stopping the run, and they do that by playing with 8- and 9-man front football. I mean, you look at the line of scrimmage, they're crowding the line of scrimmage and demanding that Jacksonville throw the ball. And that's why Jacksonville's come out and thrown the ball a little bit on first down.
2nd down and 12. Bortles moves up niftily and finds Westbrook from behind, dragged down by Moore, close to a first down. At about the 35-yard line, pickup of 11.
You know, it's been a good start for Blake Bortles today. You look at his numbers in the first half, 9 of 13 for 113 yards. He's done a nice job spreading the ball around. Marquise Lee, kind of his go-to guy. But when the protection's good, he can step up and be very accurate from the pocket, as you see him hit D.D. Westbrook in the first quarter.
I'm not sure what's wrong with this year. We have not gotten a word on his health. Left the game, but in taking his place, the rookie Wilson. 3rd down and 1. Bohannon is the fullback. I'm sorry, Rich.
There's 9 men right there to stop the run.
Nice point. Let's see what happens here. Fournette. And gets the block inside of the backpedaling right guard, A.J. Cann. He picks up 4 and grinds his way to the 37, first down.
And I love what offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett said on Friday. Sometimes he sees 0 and he's still able to find 2 or 3 yard gain. And that's the thing that you love about a back. Not a lot of negative runs. He's able to find a crease in a defense.
All right, we just got word from the Colts that Desir may not return. Leg injury, may not return. New running back here is Chris Ivory. With a 1st and 10, there's a block by Parnell. It's outside to Lewis, looking for a block and brought down. The gain of 5 right there, and the helmetless Matthias Farley gets him, and he's out to the 43. There he is, Matthias, who played at Notre Dame. Starter at the strong safety, Rich, all season long for this defense. Excuse me, this year now they've corrected as a shoulder injury. 2nd down and 5. Ivory. And was grabbed again by Farley. Gain of 4, 47-yard line, a yard shy of the first.
One of the reasons why they're the #1 rushing team in football is they always seem to have a fresh back in the game. Anytime they need to give Leonard Fournette a blow, they bring in Chris Ivory. We talked about T.J. Yeldon. He's more of their 3rd down back, but he had over 100 yards rushing against the Colts in the first game. So they've got 3 running backs that are all starter quality backs in this league.
3rd down 1, only 32 yards total on the ground for Jacksonville so far. Fournette into the nickel, Bortles. First down, leaves at a bit. Could be a horse collar. It is on Butler. Finally taken down by Bostic, the leading tackler. Lee has had a spectacular day. 12 yards right there near the 41-yard line. Lee has been terrific. 4 catches, 51 yards, and a couple of acrobatic jobs to boot.
Personal foul. Defense number 20. Horse collar tackle. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Well, Darius Butler, he's going to come in there late and just tries to grab a hold. And
Rich, this is a big development these receivers begin to answer here, because when Hearns has gone down, since he's gone down, Bortles is only completing 50% to the wide receivers. Last couple games, they've been 29th in his passer rating. So, I mean, the performance here is big for him.
yeah, he's got a couple rookies out there, Cole and Westbrook, playing in the place of the injured Allen Hearns.
Fournette 1st and 10. The dance, the drive, and the tackle by Simon, a good one. Former Texan down to the 24 and a gain of 2.
We spoke with John Simon last night about tackling a back like Leonard Fournette, and he said the key is we've got to take him on square and got to make sure we swell up and bring our big boy pads. He's not an easy tackle in the open field, and if you're not careful, he'll knock you backwards.
Jaguars have won 3 of 4 against Pagano and the Colts. One earlier this season. 2nd down and 8. Fake to Westbrook. Here comes Fournette, and too strong by Bortles. Coverage by Morrison.
That one was too hot to handle. Part of the problem is that the back doesn't see the ball come out of the hands of the quarterback. There's a screen.
Touches the ball a lot.
Why not?
Okay, I was doing a Seattle Monday night game the other. Russell Wilson, Rich, 82% of the time he touches the ball, most in the league by far.
Well, he has to, Kevin.
Yeah.
You know, he's running around a lot, making plays behind that offensive line. He's having a difficult time protecting him.
They play. Here's T.J. Yeldon in the game. Look at him. He's had some big games against the Colts. Weaving his way into the grasp of Hairston. Grabbed by Wilson. 15-yard catch and run down inside the 9. 1st and goal for Jacksonville.
And the problem is John Bostic's going to get screened. So he's in coverage on the back, and so he's got a ways to go to get there. Just too much space between the ball carrier and the defender. You're asking a lot of Bostic, who's playing off.
The point was, with the percentage of touches for Fournette, he touches it as much as any running back in pro football. Well over 60%. Compared, though, to the 82 Wilson, it's a lot different. Seattle and Jacksonville next week. Here's a 1st and goal. Pressure by Morrison, and Bortles has to throw it away. 2:11 to play in the 2nd quarter.
Nice job by the Colts defense. This is a part of the field where you have to realize that they love to throw the ball to Mercedes Lewis. It's a huge target for Blake Bortles. Tight end's got 15 catches, but 5 of them have been for touchdowns in this part of the field.
Yeldon remains. He had 122 on the ground against the Colts back in early October. 2nd down and goal. Fournette, and no gain on the play. That takes us to the 2-minute warning. Hankins is there to plug it up. Jacksonville threatening 2 to play on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Here to help life go right. And by Forevermark. Discover the Forevermark Tribute Collection at forevermark.com.
What a great area to visit here in the Jacksonville, Florida area. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report from our CBS studios in New York, JB and Company. We'll have scores and news and highlights all coming up. The Verizon Halftime Report. I see Houston's leading Tennessee right now, Rich.
Yeah, up 10-7 in the 2nd quarter. One they'll be keeping a close eye on here down in Jacksonville. And look at the Jaguars. Can they put together some great drives already here in the first half? 11-play drive for a touchdown in the first quarter. 11 or 12-play drive here, and another 11-play drive for a field goal earlier in the game.
Tennessee holds the tiebreaker, by the way. A month left in the regular season. 3rd and goal at the 8. Fournette was in. They get around Parnell to the end zone. Touchdown, Cole! For a second time, they beat the rookie Nate Hairston with a touchdown pass and a yard throw by Bortles. Cole's first NFL touchdown.
How about Blake Bortles so far today on third down? 7 of 8. 6 of them have gone for first downs, including this one here for a touchdown. Good protection and a nice touch throw to the corner to his rookie tight end, Keelan Cole. Wide receiver Cole. What a great throw and catch to get it done in the back of the end zone.
Keelan Cole, 20th catch of the year, first touchdown of his career. The rookie free agent from Kentucky Wesleyan, undrafted, comes up with one right there against fellow rookie Nate Hairston. Beat for a second time. Oh, bad snap. It's bobbled. It's picked up by Nortman. He's already, oh my goodness, and then a big hit by Marcus Hunt. He's 6'8".
Geez.
He is 6'8".
Boy, Nortman not used to taking these type of hits. I feel bad for Brad Nortman, Kevin. He's still thinking about that hit he took. And he's getting some advice from Calais Campbell as he comes off the field. Look at his jersey. Look at the back of his jersey. Maybe the first time this year it's going to have to be laundered by the equipment guy. Probably as hard as he's been hit ever in a football uniform.
I'm sure it is. Lambeau's kickoff for Jacksonville. And from the 10-yard line comes Ferguson. He finds a bit of breathing space and then is brought down on the play by Jared Wilson. 20-yard return. It's the Verizon halftime report coming up next from New York with JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cowher. Scores, news, and highlights all next on the Verizon halftime report. We've had 2 short touchdown passes. One of 4 yards to Lee, one of 8 yards to Cole by Bortles.
Well, if Jacoby Brissett, you've got to find a way to get the ball in the hands of T.Y. Hilton, Kevin. That's critical. And this guy has been quiet. He's got to be more involved in the passing game.
Marlon Mack, that was deflected. It's incomplete. Maybe off of someone's head. Marlon Mack was back there and looked like he was fanning, but someone on that front line caught that throw of Jacoby Brissett. Incomplete.
He's just watched the penetration, and the ball doesn't come out on time. You see Jones is able to get up there and knock this one down. It hits him in the face mask.
You're right, Avery Jones. He's played well. Started all season a nose tackle. They've got Marcel Darius on this team now, too. He's made a difference in their run stopping. 2nd down and 10. Brissett. They go outside. Caught by Moncrief. Handled over there by A.J. Boyer. And a gain of 7 on the play. Put him at the 37.
They've got to find a way to get T.Y. Hilton the ball, Kevin. Just 1 catch for 5 yards. You look at the numbers. In the wins, he's averaging 168 yards a game. And the 8 losses, just 29 yards a game.
3rd and 3. Moncrief, first down, working on Boyer again. And they get it to go. Gain of 7, up to the 44. Moncrief playing with a sore groin today. He hasn't caught that many passes coming in. And just 1 catch last week, as we mentioned earlier, against the Titans.
I think all things being equal, I think a lot of teams try and work away from Jalen Ramsey and more in the direction of A.J. Boyer, although he's having a terrific season as well. You know, both these corners, Ramsey and Boyer, have yet to give up a touchdown pass.
Isn't that amazing? That is something. That is really an interesting stat. 1st and 10, 3 timeouts. Mack was back there. Costanzo the block at the left tackle. Incomplete. Were they going for Chester Rogers? I think they might have been just inside the midfield marker.
You know, the corner play has been outstanding. And you talked to defensive coordinator Todd Wash on Friday. He said, last year we had Jalen Ramsey and a lot of teams picked on us and went after the corner on the opposite side. No longer the case with A.J. Boyer out there. You look at those numbers. I mean, I think this is one of, if not the best corner tandem in the game. They can both play press. They can both play from off. They can both play inside. And they're both outstanding competitors.
2nd down and 10. Nickel secondary. That includes Aaron Colvin. Mack in the backfield. With the block on Ngakoue. And that's a nice catch. With the work on Ramsey, made by Hilton, and T.Y. gets to midfield and picks up 6 on that Pass to the sideline.
Look how easy he makes this catch look. I mean, this is not an easy catch. It's down by his shins. He enjoyed the best season of his career a year ago, finishing first in the NFL in receiving yards and 20-yard-plus receiving plays. This year it's been difficult. Just 38 catches coming into today's game. A big reason why has been the inexperienced quarterback position. He, more than anyone, misses Andrew Luck.
More than 15 or just under 1,500 receiving yards for Hilton last year. 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. 3rd down 4, 3 timeouts Brissett, and he's got the first down and then some. Sliding under Boyer, a scramble of 10, and a first down to the 40-yard line of Jacksonville, and the Colts making a move.
First charge timeout.
With a nice play, applauded right there by the coach. Back in 30 seconds after this from Lowe's. Brissett just ran for 10, Rich, and a first down.
And it's been a process for this coaching staff, Kevin, really finding out what he likes and what he's good at. You know, he wasn't with this team in the offseason or training camp, so it's been a process.
Brissett outside, Moncrief got it right in front of Boyer. Gain of 9. Moncrief on this drive, Rich, has had catches of 9, 7, and 7. Hilton for 6, and Brissett, the quarterback, as we said, running for 10 moments ago.
And all of those catches have come against A.J. Boyer. May be a time to double move him now as he may try to sit on a route.
As Rich mentioned, Boyer, opposing quarterbacks have the lowest mark in any category against Boyer in the entire NFL. Amazing number. 2nd down 1. Mack outside, has the first, and retreats to the sideline with a hit on the play by Ramsey and others. And he's out of bounds about the 23, a pickup of 8. Good-looking drive. 2 Indy timeouts left.
And a nice job by the rookie Marlon Mack, understanding the situation in the game inside 2 minutes. Just a couple timeouts. He knows going to get what he can get and get out of bounds and stop the clock.
9th play of the drive. Doyle's been quiet today, the tight end. 1st and 10. Oh, they got around him, and Gabriel's head. It's picked off! Ramsey with his 3rd of the year. Oh, look at the player out of Florida State. Dances way with a pick on Brissett. Takes it to the 25. The number 2 team in the NFL in takeaways. Number 3 in interceptions. Comes up with a beauty right there from Jalen Ramsey.
Well, you watch this route. He's going to run the post, but just watch Jalen Ramsey. He's going to trail, and he's going to undercut the post route. And he doesn't even have help over the top. This is a single safety middle, but he just realizes the route, and he does a nice job undercutting T.Y. Hilton. He's playing the eyes of the quarterback the entire way. Boy, turnovers in this part of the field are an absolute killer.
This is a top 5 red zone defense, although they were not in that category. Close enough and great on 3rd down. And now Bortles has it 1st and 10. Fournette. And jumping on his back, Jonathan Hankins, the free agent from the Giants. A gain of 5 to the 30. Clock is ticking. Jacksonville 3 timeouts. That'll be all she wrote for the first half. Touchdown passes, Rich. 2 of them. 4 yards to Lee and 8 yards to Cole for Bortles, and a pick right there by Ramsey.
How about Jalen Ramsey? Told us on Friday their best chance of winning this division is through their defense. That's their mindset. That's their mentality. And what is his mentality? He feels like he's the best cover corner in football.
Jaguars in a 1st place tie with Tennessee in the AFC South, coming in with their best record into December in 7 years. All right, here we go. We got halftime here, end of the first half. We'll look at these highlights from Verizon and a word from your local station.
Want to stay up to date? Hey Siri, show me football scores.
Pretty day here in Jacksonville. 2 touchdown passes by Bortles. Up by 13. 1st place, Tennessee. 1st place, Jacksonville. Titans have the tiebreaker, trying to stay pace. The Jaguars, Tennessee just tied Houston close to half at 10. So let's step back and get some perspective on what we're seeing from this Jaguar team this year.
I think Jacksonville has the better defense. I think Jacksonville has the better running game. I think Jacksonville, if they want to start playing in meaningful games in January, they have to improve in the passing game. I think everyone realizes that here. They've been very cautious with Blake Bortles, kind of managing him as best they can, but at some point they've got to cut him loose and let him go play. The problem is they lost Allen Robinson week 1. Allen Hurns has been out the last couple weeks with an ankle injury. You've got Marquise Lee and a couple rookies playing alongside him at the wide receiver position. But I like how they started the game. They came out, they were throwing the ball a little bit on the early downs. I think they have to continue to do that. Forget the score right now. No, this is obviously a meaningful game. I think they feel pretty good about where they're at. But you've got to find out now, these next 5 weeks, what you have in Blake Bortles. Remember now, there's a guy up in New York that may be looking for work next year, and Eli Manning. And I think these next 5 games are important, obviously, for this football team. First and foremost, they want to try and win a division and make the playoffs, but they've got to find out what they have in their 4th-year quarterback in Blake Bortles.
Here we go to start the second half. Deep back is Corey Grant. Had a 68-yard kickoff return last week against the Cardinals in Arizona. Banging off bodies like a pinball. And he is taken upfield. Nice move right there. It's a 30-yard return. Grace makes the stop.
Well, another strong half of football from this Jacksonville defense. There's a reason why this is the top defense in football. They're relentless in their pursuit of quarterbacks. They've been much better at stopping the run, and they get their hands on balls in the secondary. And Blake Bortles has taken advantage of it in this offense. They've been blessed with great field position, and he's doing a better job, Ken. I think where I've seen the most improvement from Bortles is the decision-making in the pocket.
Fournette on 1st and 10. And he is sidelined there by Al Woods. Gain of 3, 36-yard line. Looks like Woods may be injured, actually, getting up very slowly.
He's got to make sure he's healthy. That ankle's been an issue. He's been in and out of the game a little bit, Kevin, but they got to get him going. I love the way he plays the game. Look at him laughing over there. We did a Pittsburgh game where he was begging the safety to come and try and hit him and try and get him on the ground. This guy loves playing football.
Plus, he lets our producer and director put on his jersey before the game. 2nd down and 7. Couple tight ends. Koyak is there. But Bortles goes downfield. Wide open is Dede Westbrook. Who then got drilled with the helmet hit first there by Morrison. Gain of 21 to the 43 of the Colts and a 1st down.
This is the taunt I was talking about. You go back to their win against the Pittsburgh Steelers where Leonard Fournette had a big day. Watch him. He's begging the safety. Come on. You want some of this? Come on and get some. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Come and get some of this. Bam! I love this guy. He is a freight train power back who loves competing.
Right now on a record pace through 9 career games for the Jacksonville single-season rushing mark. 1st and 10, Blake Bortles. Short drop, quick throw. Caught. Lee working on Kenny Moore, taking the place of the injured Rashaan Melvin out today. It is a gain on the play of 19. He goes to the 25.
And this is good football. Get your best receiver against an inexperienced rookie corner in Kenny Moore and go after him on the early downs.
Big day for Lee. 6 with 82 yards. And the touchdown.
Down. Green 80.
Base defense, 1st and 10.
Green 80.
Bortles. Easy lead as he gets away from Wilson. Knocked out of bounds on the play by Antonio Morrison with a gain of 4 to the 20.
Well, without Allen Hurns in the lineup, they have gone to Marquise Lee, and he has delivered. He's having a terrific day. 7 catches, 86 yards, a touchdown. He's made some terrific catches, and he's winning and creating separation against man-to-man coverage.
He had a bit of a knee issue coming in, did Lee? 2nd down and 6.
Down. And kill. 44.
Kill. He's going to kill the first play and get to the second play. So they call 2 plays in the huddle. They get Blake Bortles the opportunity to get him in the best play based on the front and coverage.
It's a fake to Fournette, and he'll die at the line, and he's hit there by Bostic with no gain.
Well, we've seen this before from Blake Bortles. He can and he will run with the football. He scored 2 rushing touchdowns last week against Arizona. 1 on that very play right there, the zone read. He also ran a quarterback draw. And that's one of the reasons they're #1 in rushing. It's not just the running backs with Fournette and Ivory and Yeldon. It's also Bortles' ability to pull the ball down and extend plays with his legs.
You ran more earlier in your career than later. Am I correct on that?
And then I got wise. And I realized that guys on the other end are like trained assassins. You decide to pull the ball down and run.
3rd and 6. Low, caught by Fournette. Hit by Bostic and tumbles his way to the 9. 11-yard gain for Leonard Fournette. 23rd reception of the season. That is a first down.
This is progress. You move your rookie running back out there and he runs a little under route. Watch the patience at the top of the route. A nice catch. Get him into transition of the run. The more you can do with Leonard Fournette, it's important to move him around.
1st and 10, Fournette. Looking for that block from Robinson. Down out of bounds at about the 5 and hit there by Butler. Among others, our statistician Pat McGrath just told me a very interesting note on Bortles today. He has thrown and completed 3rd down passes all afternoon, getting firsts. That was the 6th different receiver on 3rd down to get a first.
And look at this graphic, 11 touchdowns and no interceptions in this part of the field. And this is where he's been a better player. I just think the overall understanding of the system, understanding situational football, and making better decisions from the pocket. He's really cut down on the mistakes and interceptions so far this season.
2nd down and goal at the 5. Fournette easily in for 6. Seventh touchdown run of the season for the LSU rookie Leonard Fournette. They're going to go for 2.
Just keep an eye on Bostic. He's going to step to his left. And once he does, I mean, it just opens up a huge hole backside for Leonard Fournette.
Versatile. They're going to go for 2, as we've said. He's had 4 100-yard rushing games this season as a rookie. He's got 41 yards on 13 carries today. And the Jaguars are flying. Going for 2.
I think this early in the second half, I may kick the extra point here, Kevin, and make it a 20-point game.
Interesting.
Lucky. Sunday.
For the 2 points to Lewis. Got it.
Or you could just drop back and throw it to Mercedes Lewis.
He's 6'7".
6'7". 6'8" with his helmet on.
They beat Farley. A touchdown run of 5 yards by Leonard Fournette. A terrific rookie running back in the NFL, leading the way for the first place Jaguars. He made the free throw. One thing about Blake Bortles today, Rich Gannon, he has engineered some long, effective drives, eaten a lot of time. If you take out those silly plays before halftime, they have had 4 consecutive scores. A touchdown pass, a field goal, a touchdown pass, and a touchdown run.
He just looks so comfortable. He looks like he's in rhythm in the offense. He's making great decisions. He's been very accurate throwing the football.
Ferguson's going to leave it in the end zone. Touch back to the 25. Tom Coughlin is the one who is taken over the building of this franchise with a guy I think he considers very much like him as a coach in Doug Marrone.
Yeah, and he's quickly changed the culture and the environment. You know, players no longer show up late for meetings. They're on time. There's a sense of purpose. It's all about winning. And I had a great conversation with head coach Doug Marrone. He talked about it. He said, how many head coaches can take a job and have someone right down the hallway who can make you better as a head coach? I think that's what Tom Coughlin has done with Doug Marrone. I mean, what a resource and a tremendous luxury for a coach like Doug Marrone to have Tom Coughlin as a guy that he can lean on in tight situations.
Out of the pistol, almost picked off, thrown in back of the receiver. That was Moncrief, flag thrown as they go for Boye again on that side. Was he holding? He must have been. With a look at Bill Vinovich, also officiates college basketball in the Pac-12.
Pass interference. Defense number 21. Flat foul. Automatic first down.
Down 24-3. They've got to be able to stretch the field a little bit. I know there's a fine line with a young quarterback holding the ball, but they've got to be able to take some shots down the field. I don't care if it's Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye out there. You've got to give this young quarterback a chance to make some throws down the field. Talked about T.Y. Hilton, Kevin. He has 1 or 2 catches today for 11 yards. He needs to be more involved in the offense. They've got to find a way to move him around and get him the ball in space.
Jacksonville is challenging the ruling on the field of pass interference that the ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage.
So they're not you cannot challenge a penalty, but because the ball was tipped, it makes it a different kind of play.
Well, you can challenge whether it was tipped,
yes,
right?
exactly. That's it.
It looked like it was because the ball
was it Malik
came out.
Jackson, you think?
Well, you watch the ball, it's behind the receiver, and it's got a different spin and rotation on it, which leads me to think maybe someone got a hand on it. Oh, yeah, for sure. See how that ball starts working to the left?
How good is that?
Kind of like
crew?
one of your 4-irons, Kevin. You know, it starts at the hole and then winds up in the bunker and the water hazard.
Thanks.
You know what I'm talking about.
Appreciate that, Rich. But they'll check and see if the ball was tipped.
Yeah, I think it was.
It looked like it, didn't it? And you're right, the trajectory changed immensely. Rich, as they take a look at this, and they've already decided.
I think it's Jackson.
After reviewing the play, the ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. Therefore, there cannot be any defensive pass interference. It'll be 2nd and 10 at the 25-yard line.
Rich,
Jacksonville's not charged with timeout.
I just get the feeling, being around the organization, being in the city, watching Marrone work, we know what Coughlin's MO is. Things are just, the screws are tightened. I mean, now you've got discipline and structure.
The attention to detail is very different. I mean, and look, that's the way it should be. Everything, you know, even the food cart. We were talking about, they have these food carts out there. They used to have them out there on Friday after practice for the players. They got rid of that. I mean, it's all about winning.
Look at Gore running into history. On that 2nd down and 10, he passes LaDainian Tomlinson. That is your number 5 all-time leading rusher in NFL history. A run of 16 for the terrific and very professional Frank Gore.
Well, rare vision and natural running skills, and it's fun to see him at the twilight of a solid career. What I think is obviously a Hall of Fame career for Frank Gore.
Here they are, the names that stand amongst the best, with number 1 Emmett, and then the terrific Walter Payton, with Barry Sanders right behind. Number 4, Curtis Martin, all Hall of Famers, and then you've got Frank Gore. And they talk not only about what he does on the field, just his attention to detail, that professionalism, and he's 34 years old. I mean, think of the beating that body has taken.
He brings it every week, and he's a consummate professional. These players respect him. And we looked at the list last night, Kevin, the guys that on that list behind him, all Hall of Famers.
It's Marlon Mack on 1st and 10 after the 16-yard run by Gore. And he's out past the 45 with a gain on the play and an Avery Jones tackle of 5 out to the 46.
You start talking about backs like Marcus Allen and Franco Harris and all these great running backs that, you know, are well beyond what Frank Gore has accomplished, and it's a real credit to him and his perseverance, his toughness, his determination. But an outstanding pro for a long time.
2nd down and 5. Mack again. And finds a little hole to crack through and get 4 shy of the 50. Gore, by the way, starting his 104th consecutive game. That's 76 more than any other running back. And he's come back in with a game today of 11 carries and 58 yards and a little trot into history.
No special player, 13 years out of the U. And he's amazing, Kevin. Not the biggest back, 5'9", 212 pounds, but he's as tough as they come.
Nickel secondary, 3rd and 1, Gore. A Doyle block and a 1st down jump down to the 48 with a gain of 2, and hit by Calais Campbell.
If you had 50 other players like Frank Gore, you'd probably never lose a football game.
5'9", last year running for 1,000 yards, one of the oldest ever to run for over 1,000 at 33. He passes Jerome Bettis and LaDainian Tomlinson today, alone in 5th place in NFL history. 5-time Pro Bowler. 1st and 10. Mack is in, missed the block. Preslezni does not miss Brissett, and then he is really walloped by DeJuan Smoot. But Mack completely missed the driving Preslezni. 3rd sack, loss of 6. Back to the 45.
One of the challenges for a rookie running back is protection.
Offense number 85. Penalties declined. Result of the play, second down.
Brandon Williams.
You just watch, he's a little late getting to his assignment before he knows that Paul Posluszny is screaming up in that A-gap between the center and the guard. It's protection first, and then you worry about leaking out and getting in the route. I've called Paul Posluszny's name a bunch of today, Kevin. He's just makes a lot of plays in the middle of that defense. Also provides great leadership, as you see that C on his right chest.
Second down, 16, Mack with a nice tackle over there by Darius on a gain of 2. Since Darius has arrived, Rich, in that trade late October with Buffalo, the run defense has really firmed up for Jacksonville.
It's amazing. You look at, Marcel Darius, Kevin, a former first round. Look at the push he gets. He just walks. I mean, it's hard to do. He walks person in the center right back into the line of scrimmage, right back into the backfield. I mean, he's a powerful man, just under 340 pounds.
Spending a lot of dough on defense here, aren't they, Rich?
A lot. And it's money well spent when you look at how well they have played up front.
Mack in, nickel secondary, 3rd and 14 by Brissett. They double team Ngakoue, who is chasing Brissett and gets him from behind, and he stops him before he gets the first down. How about the hustle by Ngakoue? Let's see what kind of spot they give him on a 12-yard run by Jacoby Brissett.
We're going to call Miles Jack for spearing, I think, here at the end of the play. It's the second time he's had a personal foul.
There's no foul on the play. The defender missed the quarterback. 4th down.
Good call, yeah. Good call by Vinovich's crew, if that's what they saw.
Just watch at the end here. You see the effort play there from Ngakoue. Then watch Miles Jack. He comes in there, he tries to lower the head, and he just kind of a whiff. Kind of a JOP. We'll jump on the pile action there.
We're going to go for it, Rich, on 4th and a couple.
You got to down 24-3 with your season on the line. To find a way to create a spark. Got to find a way to get back in this game, and it has to happen on this series.
Gore is in. He'll flare. Brissett got him. That's a first down catch and more. T.Y. Hilton. He'll take it to the house and a flag. Back at the 25. Right now a 40-yard catch and run TD for Hilton.
Well, this is real progress for the young quarterback. This is good to see.
Holding. Defense number 22. Penalty decline. Result of the play. Touchdown.
Wonderful throw by Jacoby Brissett and a terrific catch and run by T.Y. Hilton, a 3-time Pro Bowler.
Just watch the eyes of Jacoby Brissett. Get and run it, and you're going to see here he's going to start to his right, and he's staring it down, and he's had a difficult time getting through the progressions and getting backside. But he does. He's able to reset his feet and make a good, accurate throw across the field to T.Y. Hilton. And sometimes he does get stuck on the route and stare it down and doesn't get through his progressions quickly enough, but that's real progress for the young quarterback.
Vinatieri tacks on one more. It's a 14-point game, 24-10. Brissett had a run of 12, and he throws a 40-yard touchdown pass right on the screws, and Hilton takes it to the house.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Cricket Wireless. Something to smile about. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
What I can't believe, and I know you're the consummate professional, but that you wanted to do the game from the pool today, I just did not understand it.
How many stadiums can you come and bring your Speedo, Kevin? I know you were a big Speedo guy, and you jump in the pool and watch the game from the pool. I mean, it's a great...
Look at my man right there. He's
living large.
Here's kickoff. And it'll be taken about a yard deep there by Corey Grant, who they like a great deal. Nice stop made by Vanderlaan. 16-yard return tonight in its 50 years. 60 Minutes has brought you some incredible moments. See the best of America's most watched news broadcast. That's tonight, only CBS, with NFL MVP Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan with a look at Blake Bortles, who has thrown a couple of touchdown passes today, 1 of 4, 1 of 8 yards, and Fournette with a 5-yard touchdown run. And then look at that, Rich. He's gone a long way without throwing a pick against Indianapolis.
Played some of his best football against the Colts.
There's a flag. 3 of them.
12 men. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Well, they're in the nickel, so they're going to take out, it looks like, Markevius Mingo.
That's why you're 3-8. You know, they need to be able to make plays in critical situations. That's what Chuck Pagano told us last night. He also said you can't do this. I mean, this is just crazy. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And you can't hurt themselves with the self-inflicted wounds. They need to keep the penalties and the missed assignments to a minimum.
1st and 5. Fake to Fournette, who's open and gets it. And chased by Morrison. Right out of bounds near the 27-yard line. Catch a run of 7 by Leonard.
And this is where I think Blake Bortles is better. He's not getting greedy. He's taking what's there. He called pass play on 1st and 10, a shot play, and if it's not there, get me a completion. And that's what he's done a much better job of. You look at those numbers, 8 of 10 for 98 yards. And the biggest thing is if he can just keep the mistakes, the turnovers to a minimum. With this rushing attack and with this great defense, they've got a chance to do some damage in the postseason.
1st and 10, Fournette looking for some blocks. Lindy tried to give it, but then Bostic is there to grab him. You see the teardown and the loss. Back to about the 23 and a loss of a couple.
And that's the key with the back like Leonard Fournette. You've got to keep him surrounded. You can't allow him to have that downhill run scene. To keep his run creases small.
Rich, they've spent some money on that Colt defense as well. And actually, since the shutout at the hands of the Jaguars in early October, this defense has really not played that badly.
No, they've played better, but unfortunately they got off to such a slow start the first half of the season, and that's really put them behind the numbers. They're just 29th in total defense and 30th against the pass.
2nd and 12, and it's Fournette again, ushered out of bounds by Quincy Wilson, taking the place of Desir, who will not return with a shoulder injury. Gain of 4 right there. He'll be at the 28.
And here's what I don't understand, Kevin. They went on a major shopping spree in free agency. They went out and signed Hankins and Hunt and Woods along the defensive line. They signed Sheard and Simon and Mingo at the linebacking core. Full-scale makeover with their defense, even when you look at the draft. 6 of their 8 selections were defensive players, including their first 3 picks, and yet they're just 29th in total defense.
They've lost Malik Hooker, too, and a good-looking defensive back out for the season. False start.
Offense number 74. 5-yard penalty.
It's on Cam Robinson. He's had a very good season. Now, he struggled last week, Rich, you thought on tape as you watch him against Arizona, but overall, the rookie out of Alabama has played well at that left tackle.
Yeah, I think every time out for him is the learning experience.
Right.
He does struggle at times in pass protections. You know, I think he sometimes he loses his balance and his base. He has to continue to work on keeping his feet moving in pass protection.
Into the nickel, needing the 36, 3rd and 13. Bortles, time underneath. Lewis, he dances on Simon. He breaks a tackle from Farley. He's got the first down. How about that? Hunt got him. 16-yard catch and run by Mercedes Lewis. Longest 10-yard Jacksonville player. Terrific after the catch.
What did the Colts tell us last night? That Jacksonville has converted more first downs, more third downs in these situations than 3rd and 10 when they've thrown the ball underneath to players like Mercedes Lewis, and they've made a defender miss and somehow found a way to get a first down.
Jacksonville's now converted last 8, 6 of their third downs.
Timeout.
All right, timeout. Let's step aside here on CBS. 4:11 in the 3rd. Indy took the timeout. 1st and 10 coming up. Bortles has completed 14 of his 17 passes, Rich, to his wide receivers, something he had not been doing all that much before.
And it was a point of emphasis in this game to be able to stretch the field a little bit and throw the ball down the field outside the numbers.
Fournette. And from the side, looked like Gathers comes in, makes the stop. He does. It's the first right there. First 1-yard gain on the play. Thursday, it's an NFC South showdown. New Orleans, Atlanta. Thursday Night Football, NFL Network, NBC. Streaming live on Amazon Prime Video. Coming into the game, Jacksonville had just 5 touchdowns, Rich, in the last 4 games. Today, they've got 3 touchdowns on offense.
Good balance with the run and the pass.
Second down 9. Fournette tries to give a chip. Bortles on the move, and now with some time, and he'll run. And run well into Colt territory. He's down to about the 40-yard line, swerving for 20 yards. That is a first down. Farley brings him down.
You're going to see Farley and Morrison come off the edge. And Bortles is able to get outside and escape, and once he does, he's got a lot of room. You see the block by his back, Leonard Fournette, but this is something that we don't give him enough credit for. His ability to pull the ball down and run. Because again, he had 2 touchdowns last week against the Cardinals.
Down is Cam Robinson. We're just talking about him. They're starting left tackle. Robinson, starter all season. The second round pick out of Alabama. Good to get him up on his feet. They will put Josh Walker in at the left tackle. He doesn't play much, hasn't played much, but he's going to play now. You know, with a lead like this, Rich, if things continue on, they may just sit in the rest of the game, right? Not take any. I mean, that's a pretty valuable guy.
Yeah, but Blake Bortles is a pretty valuable guy too, and you don't want to get this guy hit and hurt.
Right.
Playing some of his best football right now for Jacksonville.
They'll take a look at Robinson. We were talking before about that Colt defense. 7 of the 11 defensive starters are new. A lot of revampment for first-year general manager Chris Ballard. First and 10. Ivory is in.
Sunday.
Ivory goes over there to chip. Downfield for Cole. Hit by Butler. He's got the first down. And a terrific catch. A lot of congestion. Down at the 8. 32-yard completion. Caught by Keelan Cole.
And what did Bortles tell us on Friday about Keelan Cole? He said, look, he was running the scout team all training camp, and he's making plays every practice. And he's certainly got the attention of Blake Bortles and this offensive staff. He's taken advantage of the opportunities that he's gotten here the last couple weeks.
He beat the high-drafted rookie Wilson. Cole undrafted. Bortles is at 9 straight. Ivory is in. Uh-oh, don't look at the screen, and there's a pass. Or there's a handoff, and it goes to Ivory. Gain of 3 on that goal-to-go situation down at the 5. I was blinded.
Blinded by the light.
Blinded by the light.
Blake Bortles has done a much better job, Kevin, throwing the deep ball this season. I mean, his accuracy on the deep ball has really improved. And I think a lot of it has to do with his feet. When his footwork and mechanics are sound, he can be very accurate throwing the ball down the field.
Fournette is in. Second and goal at the 5. High snap. Leonard doused. Morrison got him. Antonio Morrison tied for the lead in tackles a couple games in a row here. There he goes. Loss of 3. They throw him back to about the 8. Ooh, and that's not good. He came in with an ankle. It's been bothering him, but felt pretty good this week where he had his first full week of practice. Now he's hobbling off.
Watch Parnell. He doesn't hear the snap count. He hears a whistle. He doesn't block anybody. Just stands still.
Simon got the closing hit. Third and goal at the 8. Out of traffic. Nice catch by Ivory, but got back to the 5 and brought down by Hairston. Gain of 3. They'll try for 3. Colts defense holds them out.
Well, we've seen Leonard Fournette, Kevin, come off the field quite a few times today and hobbling. That's not something that Doug Marrone wants to see from his star pupil.
So here is Lambeau, 23-yard try. He's had a hip issue in practice this week. He will get this through, a 23-yarder. Big plays on the drive. Cole caught one for 32. Lewis a catch and run of 16. Lambeau good from 23, but concerned about Fournette.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Kay Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K. And by Honda, introducing the all-new Accord, the most impressive Honda ever.
Our photographer Chuck Denton not only shot the alligators, he fed them and then swam with them. A big day. Not that we require that for those of us at CBS, but sure enough he did. Nice alligator farm here. We just saw a 23-yard field goal by Lambeau. The lead is extended for first place Jacksonville. Ferguson will leave it in the end zone with the touchback to the 25. All right, Fournette. He was injured in week 6 in Jacksonville's Week 6 loss to the Rams. This is his season. He's left the game right now.
If I were Doug Marrone, I'd shut him down for the day, Kevin. I wouldn't put him back in the game. They've got a 27-10 lead. He's just too valuable to this offense right now. He's been kind of gimpy as we've seen him coming on and off the field.
Well, I don't know how you can win if you don't have at least 2-3 good running backs. There's Yeldon there in the foreground. Middle, you saw Fournette and they have Ivory there in the background. First and 10, fake to Gore. Here's Doyle, quiet all day. With Telvin Smith out, they try to contain him. Buzz Lesney allows only a gain of 5. That's his first catch of the day, and he is the leading receiver on this team. They gain to the 30-yard line.
That's a surprise. You're right, Kevin. It leads a team with 59 receptions. He's Jacoby Brissett's security blanket.
All right, Rich. We've got touchdown passes of 8 and 4 yards by Bortles in the first half. Bortles in the first half, a 5-yard Fournette touchdown run here in the third quarter. Returning to Jacksonville after this, you're watching the NFL on CBS. Here until today, Telvin Smith, the only starter who's missed any kind of game action this year for that D.
Has a lot to do with the fact that they are number one. The continuity with the players and the scheme has really helped defensive coordinator Todd Wash.
Hold on. 2nd and 5. That is caught with Darius making the stop on Rodgers, and a loss of 2, and a flag is down. He got back to about the 28-yard line. Poor Jacoby Brissett does not have a lot of breathing space back there.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Offense number 72. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second half.
That's a center, Mike Person.
That's because they had a screen called, and Jacoby Brissett decided to just watch the. They're going to get out in the screen, and then he decides to pull the ball down and not throw the screen. And you've already got an offensive lineman down the field. This offensive line has struggled with stunts and games inside from defensive linemen. They've had so many different combinations with injuries, and they've had communication breakdowns, technique and assignment breakdowns. Big reason why Jacoby Brissett has been sacked more than any other quarterback in the league.
2nd down, 5. Mack with Campbell getting him, and then finished off by Ngakoue with a gain of a yard to the 26-yard line. It was interesting, Rich, when you were talking last night with all the people from the Colts. We kept asking about Andrew Luck, where, when, how, why, everything. We didn't get much answer on any of those.
No, it's been kind of a mystery, Kevin, in terms of where he's at, where he's getting treated. And we asked Chuck Pagano, and he just said, "Look, we do have communication with him. He's not at the facility rehabbing," which to me is a surprise. It's the best. NFL has the best trainers and physical therapists. And
3rd down, 9, going deep for Moncrief. He caught it, but on the chalk. He was covered on the play by Boyer.
Well, the official that made the call has no idea because he was out of bounds with his back to the field.
They still wave it off. That's a good looking catch though by
That's an incredible call because watch the official. He's going to have his back. He gets turned around.
Perfectly thrown ball. Whoa.
See, now how can he tell?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Would you challenge? Let's see if there.
There's 1,
2 on the
chalk.
chalk.
Out of bounds. Well, that's a great. He's got great dexterity and flexibility, and he's able to swing back around. My apologies. It was an incredible call. Gary Cavallito.
Rigoberto Sanchez, number 5 in net in the NFL. And it takes a bounce right there and down, as you can see, with a 32-yarder. Down by Vanderlaan. 13:49 left in Jacksonville. Rich, here we stand right now in the AFC South. We've got two teams tied for first, and this is the rest of the AFC. A lot of teams bunched up.
You ain't kidding, Kevin. A lot of teams at or around 500, and there's a lot of football left to be played. And it's really the teams that can get hot here the last month of the season. And I think Jacksonville is one of those teams. They're 7-4. They're playing great defense, and the quarterback is behaving himself. Blake Bortles is taking care of the football, and that's huge for this offense.
1 month left. Tennessee does hold the tiebreaker with Jacksonville. Here we go, 1st and 10. Bortles easily glides one into the grasp of the head over heels Mercedes Lewis.
Every time I do a Jacksonville game, I get jealous. I always wanted to throw to a tight end like Mercedes Lewis. 6'6", 280 pounds.
Farley, nice tackle.
He does the only thing he can. He takes him down low.
16-yard catch and run to the 44. That is a big man doing the cartwheel.
That is a big target for Blake Bortles.
My goodness. Fournette is back in. By the way, Houston and Tennessee tied at 10, I'm told. Bortles is at 11 in a row. Bohannon is the fullback.
When you see a fullback and you see a couple tight ends, it's almost always run.
1st and 10, Fournette. Bohannon tries to block. And brought down on the play by Gathers. No gain on the play. I want to talk about Clayton Gathers if I can for just a second. Rich, he returned after a year away from neck surgery, a welcome addition for a kid who is highly thought of coming out of Central Florida. Serious neck issue. He's back playing in the NFL.
And they're trying to get him more snaps. Chuck Pagano said as much last night, trying to increase his workload and productivity. Talented player that just has to be able to stay healthy and stay on the field.
Hairston is in his place. 2nd down, 10. Bortles moving away. Drops by Westbrook. These drops are going to drive this team crazy.
They've had too many. It's a problem.
His first today, D.D. Westbrook. Activated back in mid-November. Remember now, they've got a lot of injuries at that wide receiver position, so you can see the passing yards where they are today. Significant. 330 the first time Bortles threw the air against Indianapolis back in October.
He's been incredible. You look at his last 5 games against the Colts.
3rd and 10. Cam Robinson back in at the left tackle too, blocking Simon, incomplete. Westbrook with the coverage on the play by Moore, who starts today for the injured Rashaan Melvin. And here comes the punting unit.
Good coverage by the young corner, Kenny Moore.
Last time Norman was back there to punt, he threw a pass for 30 yards, and it was a fake. Here's his first punt, literal punt today.
Oh, it's a good one.
It is a good one. Oh, can he save it? Looks like he did. It was saved on the play by Peyton Thompson. Lateral back to Bohannon. 40-yard punt. Nice special teams play by Peyton Thompson of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Timeout, 12:03 in the 4th.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Tide. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Beautiful day on Jacksonville Beach. 12:03 in the 4th. A good-looking punt. As marooned, the quarterback, Jacoby Brissett at his 4. Gore on 1st and 10. Initial hit by Gibson to the 5 and a gain of a yard. What about Brissett, Rich? You've watched him when he was with the Patriots. You've watched him with the Colts. Is he continuing to progress? Any regression at all? What do you see?
Well, in fairness, Kevin, he came into a really difficult situation. He got traded. He just had to learn on the fly and pick up this offense. And it's tough for a young quarterback to jump and learn different systems. And this system was very different than what he experienced in New England. And every time out, as I said, it's a learning experience. At times he holds the ball too long. We've seen that. He's got to speed up the play clock. But again, This is a lot to ask for a young, inexperienced quarterback.
Second down 9, blocked by Doyle. He's running for his life. Jacoby Brissett getting a Gore block, and that opens up the middle. And he swerves into Posluszny's grasp, close to a first down at the 14-yard line. Let's go to New York. CBS Studios, Boomer and JB.
Mariota with the laser. I'll tell you what, it's been a grind down there in Tennessee. Marcus Mariota right here to find Delaney Walker. That's 24 yards. That's a touchdown. They take the lead, break the tie, 17-10 over the Texans. Back to Kevin Harlan.
Boomer, see you in Cincinnati tomorrow night for Monday Night Football. Steelers, Bengals, that's an important game in the division. 3rd and 1. With a handoff here. Flag thrown. Mack tried to swerve and hit on the play.
Holding. Offense number 80. Pass into the goal. The 2 third down.
Rodgers held. Posluszny made the stop.
And Chester Rogers is going to grab A.J. Boye. He just right there. See?
Yep.
Got a hold of him, and that's very noticeable when you're the end man on the line of scrimmage at the point of attack.
Jacksonville's defense number 1. Coming off a loss, the Jaguars, they've won 4 of 5, but defense has really carried them. In fact, there's been a lot of complaints. Where's the offense? You can't be bailed out by the defense all the time, but Rich, sure enough, that defense has done that for the Jaguars, and that's why they're 7-4.
They've carried this team through the first 11 weeks of the season. They have been dominant in just about every statistical category defensively. If you're Jacoby Brissett, you can't take the second and third hitch against this defense.
3rd down 7. Mack was in. Good with the block at the right tackle. And Brissett on the move. First out of bounds by the hustling Marcel Darius. Gain of 3 to the 10. Shy of the first by 5. They'll punt.
You see Darius come off the field. They've got such depth at that position. Talking to defensive coordinator Todd Wash on Friday, he said, signing players like Marcel Darius, it's only helped our competition. These players know that they don't play every snap, that we're going to take them out of the game. A lot of players fighting for playing time up front along that defensive line.
Sanchez has had one blocked. Deep back is Mickens. Fair caught, 42-yard line. 48-yard punt. Jacksonville tied for first, but Tennessee is losing. A win, they stay at least in first and maybe have it by themselves. Jaguars at 7-4, tied for first in that division, the AFC South, and Doug Marrone in his first year with Tom Coughlin overseeing the rebuilding of the Jaguars. First time they've been this high, over 500 in December since 2007. First and 10 here, Leonard Fournette. Chased, Mingo will drive him out of bounds. And he'll go back to about the 38 and lose on the play about 8.
Well, it's been a great day for Blake Bortles. 24 of 32, 289 yards, a couple touchdowns. He's taken care of the football. He's made some terrific throws on the move. He's done a nice job spreading it around to Westbrook, to Marquise Lee. Made good, accurate throws down the field to Cole. Remember now, he's functioning with a couple inexperienced rookies at the wide receiver position. He's put him in a great position. He's getting him into the transition, the run. This is one of his better performances of the season.
One of his best indeed. Prior to this, he had the 4 touchdowns overseas against Baltimore. Had the 330 against the Colts back in October. Second down, has another flag.
Late game. Offense number 5. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
So, Rich, how do you help if you're a head coach like Marrone and you're working with the offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Nathaniel Hackett? How do you make the game easier? Work and try to slow maybe the problems and help accelerate the good stuff.
They've done a great job, I think, managing that situation. Look at Nathaniel Hackett. I think he's done a terrific job. Heavy reliance on the running game, followed by some quarterback movement throws off of play action, the boots and the nakeds.
Second down, 21. Bortles up. and inside and short, with underneath Westbrook being tackled by Morrison. 10-yard pickup, Rich to the 41.
And just picking up on that conversation, Kevin, they mix in some quick game, and when he shows that he can handle it, they give him more. And I think that, you know, that man right there, Nathaniel Hackett's done a terrific job convincing him to trust his footwork, and really sold him on that if you trust your feet, your feet will take you to the completion. And it's been repetition after repetition, just trying to break some bad habits, but you're starting to see the fruits of their labor. He's done a much better job functioning in the pocket.
Yelled it in, 3rd and 11. And the former player at Alabama near the 50. And a gain of 9 and hit by Bostic.
And they've convinced Blake Bortles that completions are a good thing. Not every throw has to be a big throw down the field. He's taking what's there. He's not been greedy or selfish. He's becoming a very good decision maker, something that was a real challenge and struggle for him early in his career.
First 3 and out for Jacksonville. Norman takes it with a punt, and fair caught, 14-yard line by the wide receiver and return man Chester Rogers, 37-yarder. Put him at the 14 next Sunday. All about playoffs. 2 of the NFC's top teams, Minnesota and Carolina, collide on CBS. Also, Redskins take on Rivers and the Chargers. We will be at Arrowhead in Kansas City. A big matchup, Raiders and Chiefs. Check your local listings and kick off your day with JB, Phil, Coach Nate, and Boomer Esiason on the NFL Today, 12 Eastern, right here on CBS.
How about the Chiefs, Kevin? They're trailing the Jets 30-24 in the 4th quarter in New York.
Something's not right, Rich.
Something's not right. I saw a report earlier today that Andy Reid no longer calling the plays for the Kansas City offense. Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator, has those responsibilities now.
Mack in the backfield, fake to him. Brissett hit and brought down, got it away. Campbell was down low. Darius was there. They say the pass was thrown. It is incomplete. 2nd down and 10. What pressure? What pressure they put on a quarterback.
Well, I love this. Yannick Ngakoue. You see him. He comes off the edge here, and he's got a good quick first step and get off from the left side, and he can flatten down the line of scrimmage to chase quarterbacks down from behind. If you're a left tackle, you have to win against him early in your set and take away his speed.
3rd round pick, Maryland, 2nd year. 2nd down, 10. Here comes Ngakoue again. They dump it off to Mack. He gets by Colvin. He's brought down by Pez Leslie and whacked by Gibson. He gets out to the 22 as he swerves for 8. 3rd and 2. In that draft, Rich, that Ngakoue came in, Joey Bosa and Leonard Floyd. But this guy, a 3rd round pick, has been just as good.
He's been incredible. You look at him this season, he's got 10 sacks. He's been all over the place. When he gets there, he knocks the ball away from the quarterback. He reminds me a little bit of a guy that I played with, Kevin, in Minnesota, Chris Doman, who went on to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's terrific when he gets around the quarterback, getting the ball on the ground.
There is an injured Colt, and trying to figure out. Oh, it is the center, Mike Person. Now, they just this week brought off their practice squad, Anthony Fabiano. And he is the backup, unless they maneuver guys on the line. There he is, Anthony Fabiano, on the practice squad last year with the Colts. He's been on the practice squad with the Patriots, the Giants, and Washington. He's undrafted.
Well, he's smart. We know that.
He's out of Harvard.
He went to Harvard.
Yep. I thought you were going to say Kansas there for a second. You're right. He's out of Harvard.
That's right. That Harvard of the Midwest.
That's it. Yeah, right. You getting tired of that joke, by the way? Yeah. Enough is enough. 3rd and 2.
Good snap.
Hold on. That's a sack by Jack. But he stays on his feet, and Ngakoue tries to finish him off. There's a flag. They must have blown the whistle, and he kept going through the whistle. Right? That had to be.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 91. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
What's the problem right now? You look at this rookie running back, and he's struggling right now in pass protection. He's taking on Miles Jack. He swings and misses. And that's the problem. He has the frame, I think, to hold a little bit more muscular, lean weight. And right now, he's got to do a better job protecting Jacoby Brissett.
Was this a penalty, Rich? I mean, it looks like he's trying to stay on his feet. He's staggering. He's trying to make the play. Like, what happens if he frees himself?
He's such an elusive player. You know, he's not an easy guy to get on the ground. The thing about Jacoby Brissett, he has a difficult time giving up on a play because he's so athletic. He thinks he can make every play in space.
Well, they give him the first down. He'll be at the 37 with 6:51 to play. Jacksonville today, touchdown passes of 4 yards, 8 yards, and a 5-yard touchdown run by Fournette. 1st and 10, Jacoby Brissett. Pressuring the pocket. Outside they go to the tight end, Brandon Williams. Grabbed by Ramsey, playing with a bad hamstring. Finished off by Posluszny. And he's out to the 46 and a gain of 9 in the crowd here with the boos cascading down on this officiating crew. 2nd down and 1. Four-man rush. Brissett slings a pass. It's picked off. Intercepted by Gibson. To Sean Gibson, his 4th pick of the year. 2nd interception thrown by Jacoby Brissett.
He's just trying to squeeze this one into Chester Rogers. He throws a fastball down the middle, and Rogers is going to be coming in from the right side of your screen, and Deshaun Gibson just beats him to the ball. Good protection, just misses him a little bit in front. And this Jacksonville secondary starting to sit on some routes.
Gibson playing with a bad knee today. Had the 2 picks you may recall earlier in the season at Pittsburgh. He's got 18 career, the free agent from Cleveland a season ago, and 6 years out of Wyoming sure gives a lot of experience to the secondary with a pick right there. The 2nd thrown by Brissett from the 48. It's Fournette, 1st and 10. Trying to work his way, and now Woods there to stop him. Gain of 3 to the 49.
This Jacksonville defense continues to take the ball away and create scoring opportunities for their offense. It's amazing. Into this game, Kevin will probably lead the National Football League in takeaways, and that's a compliment to the job that Todd Wash has done, their defensive coordinator. There's an award for Assistant Coach of the Year. I think he certainly deserves to be a candidate. He's done an incredible job with this unit.
Number 1 in points allowed. They're only allowing 15 points a game, not since 2013. Have we had a team's defense do that good a job? That was Carolina back in 13. 2nd down and 7. It is Fournette. Ooh. Lewis with a block. Leonard Fournette. Brought down by Farley. Chased out there by Wilson. A 24-yard pickup for Fournette. He's over 50 on the day. 57 now.
Well, with a back like Leonard Fournette, you have to be able to set the edge. And you can't take a peek. So you get him up inside, and everyone's in. There's no contain. You just look at his ability to change gears, and he's not a guy that usually runs for the boundary. He's looking for contact.
Did you tell us in Pittsburgh when we talked to him earlier in the month that he said, I had no interest in football. I didn't play until I was like late.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing from those younger years, but
Ivory on 1st and 10. And struck and manhandled by Moore. Brings him down 22. Gain of 4. To New York. JB and Boomer on CBS.
KC has found the spark.
What a game Tyreek Hill is having. 4 catches, 138 yards, and this is his 2nd touchdown of the day from Alex Smith. They take the lead 31-30. Jets have the ball. 9 minutes and 13 seconds left. And yes, Kevin, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night in Cincinnati.
Look forward to it, Boomer. The Jets have blown 3 fourth-quarter leads this season.
24. Down. 24.
2nd down and 6.
Green 80. Green coming.
Ivory trying to get him on track if he's been struggling lately. Making a couple tackles and finally hitting. Farley tripped him up, gain of a yard.
Good tackle by Farley.
There was.
These are not easy backs to get on the ground. You mentioned Fournette, and then you bring in a guy like Chris Ivory. He doesn't go down easily either. These are big physical backs that attack you in the running game. There's a guy that loves to run the football, former offensive lineman, former offensive line coach Doug Marrone. He believes in tough, hard, physical football.
3rd and 5. Ivory the block. Being chased. Nice maneuvering there by Bortles. Out of bounds and incomplete.
Good job throwing it away.
It was. Lee was in the sights and the coverage by Wilson.
And this is where he's better, Kevin. How many times have you seen Bortles run around, moving to his left, and throw an awkward throw back across the field late down the middle and result in an interception in that part of the field? Look at the offensive coordinator there.
Throw it away, right?
Look, he's thrilled with them.
Yep.
That's Nathaniel Hackett. That's not a good play. That's a great play. You protect the field goal. We got a 27-10 lead. That's progress. That's good to see from Blake Bortles.
Hackett's dad is a well-known offensive mind in pro and college football. 39-yard field goal away and good by Josh Lambo. The lead is extended, and Jacksonville is hovering over their 8th win. And at the very least, they'll go to bed tonight tied for first, stay tied for first in the AFC South. Coming up on the State Farm postgame show, join JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for scores and highlights and news. All coming up from the CBS studios in New York, the State Farm postgame show.
Kevin, you mentioned Nathaniel Hackett's dad, Paul Hackett. He's here today, and he's a big reason why I'm sitting next to you. He had such an impact on my career as a young player, as a quarterback, and I thought it was great when talking to Nathaniel Hackett. He said, you know, his dad emails him during the week, and he's got the password for their Exo system so they can share and watch film, and he says he dictates now. He's learned how to dictate on the iPad, so he dictates to Nathaniel Hackett some of the corrections and some of the things that he sees, but he's his mentor. They've got a great relationship. The great thing about Paul Hackett, he's not afraid to be brutally honest with his son. And it's what an incredible resource. You talked about Doug Marrone having Tom Coughlin, and then, of course, Nathaniel Hackett having a father who's a former head coach and a great offensive coordinator for years in the National Football League. Worked with Joe Montana and so many great quarterbacks. I was fortunate to have spent 4 years with his father in Kansas City, and it was a big reason why I had the success I did in Oakland.
When Marty Schottenheimer was having trouble in the playoffs running the ball, they get Joe Montana, as you say. They brought in Paul Hackett with the familiarity in the West Coast and San Francisco. That was a great marriage. And then you were, like you said, one of the beneficiaries of it a couple years later.
And I thought it was interesting in talking to Nathaniel last night. He said, you know, his father was there when they created 2-jet and 3-jet protection. I mean, so there's so much history, and that's why he's been such a great resource for his son.
Ferguson on 1st and 10 gets a little swing pass, and there's Buzz Leslie, who does not have a lower gear than 5. He continues to get him. Gain of 12. No, not gain of 12. 7. Gain of 7 on the play. He's out to the 33. Second down and 3. Ferguson underneath. Nice stick right there by Boyer. Gain of a yard, 34 or so, 33-yard line.
Well, it's not that often that we see one unit significantly better than the other unit, and that's what we've seen here through 4 quarters of football. This Jacksonville defense is head and shoulders better than what the Colts have to offer offensively.
2-minute warning.
This is the 2-minute warning.
Jacksonville is going to win their 5th game in the last 6.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Best gifts on the best network. And by Bud Light. Brewed to be enjoyed responsibly.
Jacksonville Jaguars at the 2-minute warning on top by 20, and they're getting ready to get their 3rd consecutive win at home.
Well, they're playing such great football, a really complimentary football. It's not just the defense. You look at this offense today, they've been incredible. Over 425 yards of offense, taking care of the football, and they're just making things difficult on the Colts.
3rd and 2. Ferguson was in the backfield. It's a low on, it was catchable, but it was not caught by Hilton. T.Y. Hilton went low and tried to grab it right in front of Boyer. 4th down and 2 for Chuck Pagano. It's going to be, Rich, their 6th loss in their last 7 games. They're going to drop to 3-9 and the 3rd straight non-winning season for them. Last time this happened where they had 3 consecutive losing seasons in the late 80s into 91. 4th and 2. Brissett pressure. Chased by Fowler and Ngakoue. Got the ball off. Nice play by Chester. He picks up 3. He needed 2. He's out to the 36. And he was covered on the play by Gibson. That was a nice catch how he kind of leaned and got that ball across.
Good effort by Chester Rogers. You're right, Kevin. And a good effort by Jacoby Brissett. This kid's tough. Just continues to hang in there. It's not easy. He's under duress a lot back there in the pocket, but he finds a way to extend plays. Look at his jersey and his uniform. It's filthy, but this kid's shown great toughness in some really difficult situations.
He's from West Palm Beach, Florida. 1st and 10.
That's a good throw.
That was, and a great catch made once again. Rogers, 2 years out of Grambling State. That was a beauty. 15-yard lasso makes the catch at the 49 of 1st down.
We talked about it in the open. He has the arm strength to make all the required throws in this offense. That's a good throw there. Jacoby Brissett. Remember, when he got here, he had to learn these guys' names, let alone learn what they do. I mean, that was not an easy situation. I thought I got a kick out of it. He said that first guy that introduced himself to him was Jack Doyle.
He said, look for me.
He said, I'm always open.
He's a leading receiver. 1st and 10. And bobbled and dropped right there by Kamar Aiken.
Boy, him in a bad spot. Right in the chest.
Coming up, the State Farm postgame show. JB, Phil, Nate Boomer, and Coach Cowher. Scores, news, and highlights coming up from New York. All on the State Farm postgame show. Next, 2nd down and 10. Record now for the Jaguars is going to go at home here to 4-2. On the road, they're 4-2. 2nd and 10. Hit by Darius, jumps it off to Ferguson. And he bounces his way down to the 40-yard line before he's brought down by Miles Jack with a gain of 8. A couple yards shy of the 1st.
Brissett's done a better job today finding that outlet receiver late when he's been in trouble, whether it's the back or the tight end. When he needs a quick throw, he seems to know where that back is at all times.
3rd and 2. Brissett way over the head of Doyle. 4th and 2. And the coverage by Ramsey.
Sometimes he misses too many easy throws when you study the tape. Missed the first 2 throws of the game last week. Easy throws.
Why do you see that, Rich? Why, when it seems so simple for the average guy to just complete a little 5-yard throw, it's so hard because they're in it. What is it about that situation? I think
last week sometimes you're all hyped up early in the game and that you don't settle in. And sometimes you rush throws. Sometimes the footwork is an issue. And you look at this, it's like they're going to bring the house.
4th and 2. Yep, you're right. And the garage. And outside, they got the 1st down. Nice catch, good route, caught by Moncrief. It is a gain of 6 on the play with the coverage by Boyer. They've worked on Boyer quite a bit today, and with success, that's not a good sign with Moncrief hobbling back to the side.
Why not? All things being equal, I think you work away from
Ramsey, huh?
Jalen Ramsey. Not that A.J. Boyer is a pushover.
No.
I mean, both have been outstanding this year for the Jags.
1st down and 10. There's a pass to Doyle with a beat on it, Aaron Colvin.
The thing I like about Jacoby Brissett is if he doesn't feel comfortable, he's not going to pull the trigger. As he said, he doesn't turn the ball over very much. Must have learned that from Bill Belichick. He says, if you turn the football over, you can't play for me. You see Brian Schottenheimer there, the offensive coordinator, or I'm sorry, the quarterback coach, a former offensive coordinator in this league and in college football as well. His dad was a great football coach, and Marty Schottenheimer, as you and I know very well, Kevin, in Kansas City, won a couple hundred games in the National Football League. He's one of the finest coaches I had the privilege of playing for. Learned a lot about the game and about life playing for Marty.
Brian went down and played at Florida for Steve Spurrier. 2nd down and 2. 2nd down and 7 from the 32. Set out away again. Lesney's got a beat on him and out of bounds and a loss of 3 to the 35.
Yeah, he's got to learn to throw it away. That's the problem. At times he holds the ball too long and there's some indecision. You can see it in his feet. Just the inexperience comes from a lack of anticipation.
First sack of the season for Paul Posluszny. The Jacksonville Jaguars were the only team to have 4 players with at least 5 sacks. That's the first for Posluszny. They lead the league in sacks. They had a bunch today. 45 now for the season. Brissett. And caught by Williams, the former Seattle Seahawk, with the tackle made by Posluszny. And a timeout with a gain of 2 right there. So Jacksonville is going to get the win here in our look at the AFC South. Their record will go to 8-4. And Tennessee right now is in a battle with Houston. And they're winning 17-13, I'm told, the Titans. So we know Tennessee's got the tiebreaker, Rich. We know there are 4 games left after today. And the schedule coming up for the Jaguars includes a game with Seattle next week right here.
And Houston here the following week, Kevin. So they've got 2 home games. The last 2 games they have to go on the road to San Francisco and unfortunately to Tennessee. I really think this division is going to come down to week 17. Jacksonville at Tennessee.
We're set on 4th and 7. Doyle slipping through. Posluszny there. Jack was there. Gain of 8 on 4th and 7.
No timeouts.
He gets the first down to the 24-yard line. And they'll spike it 2nd and 10.
Well, Jacoby Brissett's going to be sore on that plane ride home tonight, Kevin. He's been knocked around so much this year.
Wonder how many hits he's taken. He had 20 the last time they played each other.
Yeah, but you look today, he's been sacked 4 times. Just, I don't know how the kid does it. He's tough.
Well, we know that if healthy, Luck would be back there, and Luck would be taking all these hits, Rich.
He's been sacked 20 times in his last 3 games.
2nd down and 10.
Prior to today. 20 times his last 3 games.
That's on the screws. Caught by the receiver Chester Rogers. Drilled over there by Ramsey. It's a 13-yard pickup, and he is down to the 12. Indianapolis is out of timeouts. Trying to get one more in here. They'll spike it 2nd and 10. But you know what? For a team that's building a young quarterback, there are no unimportant snaps, are there?
No, they're all important. And look, you're just trying to develop a young player at this position, and you get an opportunity. I'd do the same thing. I'm Jacoby Brissett. I'm going to try and throw a touchdown here.
Yep.
I was just to make a quick correction. I said he's been sacked. The Colts have been sacked 20 times in their last 3 games against Jacksonville. So this defense has really had their number. And got to hustle up the play clock down to 4. He's calling for the ball.
He gets it from Person. Brissett got away, got a block.
Got to throw it up, give somebody a chance.
He is. He's going to throw it out of the end zone. Jaguars today, no turnovers, 425 yards of offense, 34 minutes. Brissett is down. He just took a beating. Number 1 defense came to play today. So for Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan saying so long from Jacksonville. The first place Jaguars sweep this season over the Colts. Now time for the State Farm post-game show. Let's go to James Brown in our CBS studios in New York.